little sailor that rises up in rank. Ganael had just turned 5 when his parents said, "My son, we are poor and our lives are hard as farmers. We have decided to make you a sailor on a ship. There, you will learn to be a sailor. Maybe one day, you will become a captain. Then, your life will be better than ours." Ganael is sad to leave his family, but he bravely boarded a large ship. He tried not to show a sad face. The sailor of the ship raised the sails. Then, the ship sailed on the sea with the help of strong winds. Ganael stared at the land that was getting away. "What are you thinking about?" shouted an old sailor. "Come here, little sailor. Help me clear the deck." Ganael then took a broom and a mop. "Can I go up the mast later?" he asked. "Then what do you want? You are still too small." The old sailor scolded him. "When you are done mopping the deck, you help the cook to prepare the soup." Evening came. Ganael returned to the deck. The moon shines over the sea. The stars twinkled. He approached the sailor holding the helm of the ship. "Can I help you steer the ship?" he asked. "You are still small, aren't you? Come on, hurry up and help put up the sailor's hammock." Ganael took a deep breath. "This isn't how I learned to be a captain," he thought. After crossing the ocean, the ship stopped for a while near a remote island. "You may go for a walk," said the captain. "We'll be leaving again tonight." Ganael came down to the beach. Behind the beach, you can see a forest. He started running between the trees. He was surprised to find plants he had never seen before. Suddenly, he heard a terrified scream. "Help! Help!" He rushed to run toward where the scream came from, to the extent that he didn't care about the bushes that tore his clothes and injured his cheeks. He then arrived at a swamp where a girl who seemed to have drowned in a mud puddle. The more she tried to free herself, the more the girl sank into the mud. "Don't move anymore. I will help you," shouted Ganael. Ganael looked around him and saw roots hanging between the huge tree trunks. Then, he threw the strongest hanging root at the girl. "Hold it with both hands. Get ready? Okay? I'll pull it." He pulled with all his might while shouting, He mustered up the same strength as sailors when they pulled the anchor. The girl seemed to be poking out of the swamp. Ganael tried even harder to get the girl out of there. The two girls' feet finally emerged from the mud. "I owe you one. Thank you," she said. "You are welcome. You know, it's only natural that boys help girls. After all, we are indeed stronger," said Ganael. At that moment, there was the sound of a beast growling behind them. A leopard jumped at them. The girl immediately took out a slingshot from her pocket, picked up a stone, and aimed at the beast between the eyes. The leopard fell unconscious. "What were you saying?" asked the girl with a mischievous smile. Nothing, really. Thanks for saving me," said Ganael embarrassedly. "All right, it's time for me to return to my ship. Can I accompany you? We can play together on the street. It's been a long time since anyone played with me," exclaimed Ganael. "I really want to, but that's impossible," answered the girl regretfully. "Why?" "I can't say. Goodbye. I hope we can meet again. I don't wish that for you." With her mysterious word, the girl disappeared into the forest. Ganael returned to his ship. "Too bad, the girl looks nice, but she has a strange secret," he thought. Night fell, and the ship raised anchor. Ganael looked enviously at the sailors who climbed up the mast to raise the sail. He didn't even dare to ask if he could help them anymore. Every time he asked, they would say that he was too young. He went to sleep in his hammock, dreaming of the friend he longed for. "She didn't even say her name," he said to himself before going to sleep. The next day at sunrise, screams were heard from the mainmast. "There are pirates in the distance!" In unison, all frantic. "Hurry up, little sailor! Help me distribute the rifles to all the sailors!" shouted the equipment handler. Ganael had nearly completed his task when a cannonball shattered the main ship's mast. The two ships collided, and there was a loud scream. "Charge! Charge!" The sailors defended themselves bravely. However, the pirates were used to fighting, and their weapons were more complete. They quickly won the battle and lined up the prisoner on the deck. Like the others, Ganael was bound from head to toe. "What will happen to us?" he whispered to the person beside him. "I don't know, little sailor. The pirates are notorious in this area. Usually they would sell the captive as slave." The pirate leader approached the captive. Ganael then heard light footsteps behind the heavy footsteps of the pirate leader. Suddenly, a person with a beautiful face appeared. "It's the girl from yesterday." While looking at Ganael, who was gawking, the girl smiled as if to say, "Now you understand, right? My secret?" The girl tugged at the pirate leader's coat while pointing at Ganael. "Papa, it's the boy who saved me in the swamp." The pirate leader stood in front of the little sailor. Then he said, "I am deeply indebted to you because my daughter is a priceless treasure. I will set you free. Choose 3 precious items that you like in my chest. I will gladly give them to you." A pirate then untied Ganael. The little sailor then said, "In exchange for the 3 precious things, sir, I would like to make 3 wishes." "What wishes?" asked the pirate leader. "Release the captain of this ship of mine. He is my father," said Ganael. He caught the captain's astonished look and said, "Release all sailors. All are like brothers to me." The sailor's eye widened, surprised, and touched. Even though they were not being nice to the little sailor, now he was actually helping them. Ganael said again with a red face, "Then, my last wish, you allow me to be friends with your daughter," muttered Ganael. "I really want her to be my friend and play along with me." The pirate's laughter exploded until it shook the ship's sails. "Listen to me, little sailor," said the pirate leader. "I will grant all your wishes because you have saved my child. I want that in the next 15 years, you can become a brave captain and can be someone to be proud of. Will you promise me?" Ganael looked the pirate straight in the eye. "Yes, sir. I promise you. In 15 years you will be proud of me. But I want to be an honest captain. I don't want to be a pirate." "I like that, kid," said the pirate leader as he climbed back into his ship. "Me too," whispered his daughter. That night, the ship's captain placed his hand on Ganael's shoulder. "Since you saved me and said that I am your father, I will treat you as my own child. I will also teach you to be a sailor." The other sailors said, We will help you to progress quickly. We are very indebted to you." Since then, Ganael's life has changed. He has the right to participate in controlling the sheep. They taught him a little about the secret of seafaring. At night, he likes to drive the ship while the others are asleep. His hands were on the wheel, and his eyes were on the horizon. He dreams of one day reuniting with the pirate leader and his daughter. He was daydreaming while smiling. "Up until now, I haven't even gotten to know that girl's name."